Hey, want to be a strong reader? Well, it's easy. Make a connection with whatever you are reading, and then you'll get a deeper understanding of a text. Making a connection with what you're reading is really not that big of a deal. It's like finding something that you have in common with someone, but instead of another person, it's a story or some information that you're reading. When you can relate, you just get it. So, how can you connect to a story? The first way is to think about your very own life, the one that you're living. This is called text to self, and this is when you make a personal connection. So, something in the informational text you're reading reminds you of the beach that you went to with your family on vacation. Hey, you just made a connection with the text. Or you're reading a story and it's about a character who really wants to grow up and be a dancer, and they have a terrible audition and they just want a fresh start. Well, you went through a similar thing at the talent show last year and you never wanted to be seen again. You wanted a fresh start. You can relate. Things as simple as this is making a connection to a text. Here's an example of a text-to-self connection using part of a story. Here's the story. That day, I did not want to work my shift selling our harvest of watermelons at our family fruit stand along Route 44.
I've seen a fruit stand before.
I was much too worried about Mama. I wanted to be home, showing her that I could help so that maybe her brain wouldn't go all sideways again. While I loved spending time at the stand with my best friend and feeling all grown up, talking to the customers, taking their cash and counting out change,
I did that at a garage sale once. I felt all grown up too.
The fruit stand was just off the highway, loud cars zooming by. I needed a quiet space for my thinking. Oh, there have been lots of times when I needed a quiet space for my thinking too. I know exactly how this character feels. So you see, there are no right or wrong answers when you are making a connection to a story. These are your own experiences. But now I can totally relate to the character. And this was just 2 paragraphs of an entire book, and I was able to make 3 connections. You'll be able to do it too. The next kind of connection you can make is a text-to-text connection. And remember, text just means words, stories that you read. So a text-to-text connection is just a knowledge connection. It's when something that you're reading reminds you of another story or a book or article that you've read. Whether there are similar ideas, opposite ideas, or even familiar words, you can make a text-to-text connection. And this is even true with songs and movies that you see. Here's what a text-to-text connection might sound like. This reminds me of that book I read, that movie I watched, that song I hear all the time. Hey, I read a story about a girl who lived during that war. This is different from the other book I read because I remember seeing the word global warming on a science assignment. Hey, this is the same as that other book I read because, again, there are no right or wrong answers with a text-to-text connection because it's based on what you've read or seen before. Here's one more example with a little more detail. The text I'm reading is about a boy from an impoverished village who built a wind turbine so he could have a working light in his home. Once he was able to build it, he ended up providing electricity to all the families in his village. My text-to-text connection with what I'm reading is, in science class, we read about solar energy and how it works and how our environment could benefit from solar energy. This is kind of similar to that. And that's how simple a text-to-text connection is. Finally, we're going to talk about making a text-to-world connection. A text-to-world connection is when a story reminds you of something happening in the real world right now or in the past, something that you hear on the news, or just general information about life, things that you just know. You can use these to make a text-to-world connection. Here's how this might sound. On the news, I saw that people had water all the way up to their roofs from a hurricane. I understand what this article means when they say hurricanes can be devastating. The character is worried that her new baby brother will cause her to lose sleep. Even though I have not been around very many babies, I know that they cry a lot. So, what connections will you make? Remember, these are your connections. There are no right or wrong answers. Connect to a text to become more engaged in a story, whether fictional or informational. Relate to set a purpose for reading something. And of course, connect to a text to get a deeper understanding of what you are reading. Go connect!